it is really funny to think about that the Jets were the team predicted to go 0-16 by a large consensus, not the Cleveland Browns. And yet, the Cleveland Browns wish they had 5 wins this year. The Jets have obviously surprised a bunch of people, even most Jets fans out there. And when it came to my prediction on them, I definitely thought of them as a 2-win team right there because they thought that, well, I didn't think they had enough talent to obviously make it the playoffs. I don't think really anyone did. But I thought they had enough just to win 2 games right here. And I feel like a lot of people tend to judge teams a lot more on paper versus like more realistically because a lot of people will look at the name of the player and be like, oh, they got this guy on their team. The Jets had they had like guys named Darius Stewart. Like no one knows who the hell a Darius Stewart is. Or like guys like Marcus May was drafted by them. I was like, I don't even know who that is. I forgot he was even drafted last year. He was a second round pick, but didn't even really pay attention to that at all. So the Jets have definitely exceeded expectations this year. And not only that, when it comes to it, Josh McCown has definitely showed something this year that he is not a terrible quarterback. Obviously, he's a journeyman quarterback and whatnot. And that Todd Bowles, he isn't awful. I don't think he's the coach of their future. I don't think he's finally the Jets, the coach of the Jets to finally take them to the promised land, or a coach that can build them to win on a consistent basis. But when it comes to it all, he at least can get the guys to play on Sunday. At least he can at least can. I mean, obviously, strategically, he really just can't just bring it together. He really just can't get that strategy there. And obviously, I think it makes sense to get an extension right here because he kind of had his hands to hide behind his back. I thought he was destined to be fired right here because they just tied his hands behind the back and says, "Oh, just win with this roster. If you don't win, well, you're fired." Got that 5 wins, and obviously that was enough for Woody Johnson to give him a 2-year extension. Now, when it comes to the Jets, I definitely think that, obviously, roster-wise, they definitely need some upgrades. I heard that they are going to be losing some more bodies, like in Mo Wilkerson, who hasn't really been playing that well, that he might be leaving sooner or later, and that they're going to eventually need that quarterback because Christian Hackenberg hasn't played a snap yet. Similar to what I said about Paxton Lynch in my last video with the Denver Broncos, it seems as if that Christian Hackenberg will he just looks like he hasn't been playing. And this Bryce Petty guy who's been doing decently in preseason games, he can't play in the regular season games at all. He just can't. He just simply cannot play well. And just to put this together, the Jets obviously it's just a kind of a Jets season right there. What people thought was going to be a historically awful season for them just ended up just being just kind of a subpar season for them, you could just say. And one thing I would like to address about the Jets is the coaching staff. I really don't think they got a great staff and all that because you got Todd Bowles at the head. I think Todd Bowles can be at the head of a coaching staff and all, but these coordinators though around them aren't very impressive. When you put this all together, I think a lot of people, when you look at coaches, a lot of people just like to look at the head coach. It's also the staff there. Judge them by the staff. A lot of teams need good staff members right there. I mean, if you look at Belichick, a lot of people, oh, well, Belichick's great. Well, if you put this together, I mean, Bill O'Brien was his offensive coordinator, and it looks like Josh McDaniels and Matt Patricia might both be head coaches in 2018. And hell, their linebackers coach might even be a head coach. So that you put that together. If you look at a guy who's probably going to win Coach of the Year, Sean McVay, look at his DC. His DC is Wade Phillips. Yes, the guy who transformed the Denver Broncos into a defensive-minded team, and he was their DC when they won the Super Bowl. So you definitely need coordinators on the side to deliver because if you look at a guy like Rex Ryan for the Jets, obviously Rex Ryan had some success here. I mean, he only had 2 losing seasons with the Jets in his 6-year tenure, which isn't bad to be honest with you. It's just the coordinators around them were terrible. Like Tony Sparano, I mean, my God, that guy belongs into like an Italian mafia movie. He belongs in like the Sparanos, the actual Sparanos, not the NFL at all. So to put this all together, you really just need coordinators around just to kind of deliver, and they simply just don't got that. I think Bowles brings something to the table. I think he's a quality coach. He can be the head coach, but I think I prefer him on the defensive coaching side and whatnot and all that. Just seeing that Jamal Adams looks okay out there. He can get sacks, obviously. Hicks is another story. He kind of struggles right there. That's definitely something that he needs to work on. But when you put this all together with the New York Jets and whatnot, they overachieved this season. But when it comes to their team, by next year, they're definitely going to have to fill up some holes on their roster.